YouTube. Just a little test here, guys. Kind of hanging out. I remember these late night chats, and kind of like look around, do some stuff, see what we got. We talk some games. Get some stuff in here. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, be-dee-be-doo. Yo, Perry, how's it going there, brother? Got the link. You guys want? Anybody wants to hop in? Just kind of dipping my toe back in the late night. I don't know if you can hear me okay. I think I'll be doing some streaming, maybe doing some gaming streaming. Figure I'd look at some of the games I picked up. I don't know if you want to hop on here, brother, for a little bit. I don't know how long I'll be on, but maybe on for a little while. I left the link in the other chat. So, yeah, so I ordered up some equipment here. Probably do maybe some PS3, PS4, Xbox streaming, a few games. Hopefully it'll work out okay. Picked up the HD 60 Plus S Plus, I think it was, the Elgato, and looks like it's gonna work out all right. So you're watching Harry Potter. Well, I'm gonna throw this in the chat anyways. So did they did they get to the part in Harry Potter where they're just flying around on brooms? Don't they do that in like every fucking Harry Potter movie? There was like 8 of them, and didn't they fly around on brooms and play Quidditch through the whole thing, through all 8 movies? How did you got those on physical media, Perry? Because they took those off of HBO. So unless they're back on, I guess that Warner Brothers is going to sell those off to Disney. Fucking Disney, man, they're going to own every single major franchise there is, and they bought like everything from my youth: Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Looney Tunes, even about fucking Looney Tunes. And now they're going to have Harry Potter. Maybe they should just mix them all together and have them all in one fucking movie. It's pretty poor. Well, I'll be on for a little bit if you want to come in after the movie's over with. Were you watching that with your mom? How does mom like the Harry Potter franchise? She down with it? We shall see. I don't know who else is in here, but good evening, everybody. Yeah, so hopefully within maybe Wednesday, I think I'll be setting up the gaming stream. So I'll probably be testing it for a few days, and because I'm not really sure my bandwidth is going to support it. It's not really down; it's the up, and I think I have like 10 or 12 megabits up, which I think is going to be okay, but we'll see. That's where you usually get it. Plus, I'm on a wireless connection, so I may have to somehow run an Ethernet cable. Problem is the internet's in the basement, so in order for me to get a line up here where I want to do the stream, because I want to do it upstairs, um, that's gonna be a problem. Oh, that's good. Yeah, usually people once they get a little bit older, when they get to be 70 plus, they're not really into Harry Potter as much. So that's cool that she likes it. Very cool. Yeah, you have to come in and show me some of the games you've been getting later on, Perry. I've been buying a bunch of stuff, mainly PS4, PS3. I haven't bought a whole lot of Xbox stuff. I don't know what it is about the Xbox. I seem to usually buy that digitally or just wait. Now I think I'm buying more PS4, PS3 games than anything else. Nice thing about some of the PS4 games, I don't buy a lot of stuff. Like I think it was which one was it? Uh, it's one of the ones I'll be showing. I just bought Evil Dead the game. Now I think I could. This was like $19 for the game on the PS4, and I think they wanted like 30 or 40 for the PS5 version. But a lot of these games come with upgrades. Right here, uh, uh, free upgrade to the PS5 version. So look for that when you buy. Because if you can buy nice thing about me is I can not only play this on my PS5, but I can play this on my PS4 out in the other area here. So this gives me two versions. If I just buy the PS5, that's the only thing I can play it on. So when they have upgrades like this, hey Two Gun, how's it going? I want to ask you to come on because I know you never do. When they have free upgrades like this, you're maybe better off depending on the price to buy the PS4 version and then to have them upgrade it on the PS5. So I've been shopping around in Soul Calibur. I'm looking for Soul Calibur. I think I just bought Soul Calibur 5 for for the PS. I'm gonna say PS3. So I have it. I have 6 for the PS4. So I'm getting 5 for the PS3, and I think they have a 4 for the PS3, and then everything else I think was on PS2, PS1 because PS Soul Calibur, the Xbox 360, and I think the PS2 were one of my favorite games. I loved for a fighting game. I loved Soul Calibur. So anytime I can pick up Soul Calibur, I will do that. So I Evil Dead the game, and let's see. Pick this up here. It's a definitive collection of Dead Island. Spawn, that's Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Hey, Missing Link, how's it going? Yeah, I think all the Soul Calibur games were fairly good. I don't think there was too many dogs in there. I remember playing the original Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, and that version was friggin' awesome. The Dreamcast version. This is another one I think that's upgradable. Terminator Resistance. This was like I think I paid $14 for this, and they wanted 60 still for the Xbox 5 version. And this is one of those games that they will upgrade to the PS5 version. So I figured, stay cheap and be able to play it in all locations. This is probably the game I'll be streaming. Probably the first game I'll stream when I get the thing set up will be Terminator Resistance. And then let's see, this picked that up for the PS3, The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, because I'm kind of a sucker for zombie apocalypse games, and it looks pretty cool for the PS3. So I understand. I'm pretty sure this was a decent game. Now some of these games, but I just picked up a PS3 system, so I paid $80 for it, and the guy sent it with 13 games in the box. But man, the guy just fucking threw the thing in the box. The thing was filthy. It looked like it was clogged with dust. So I opened the whole thing up and I took a canned air and I blew all the dust out of it to get the start off with, because I didn't want to fire it up with all the dust, and it was chock full. It was nasty, nasty. And most of the games I got were the cases and stuff were in fairly good shape. But I've been looking for, if anybody knows, leave it in the chat where you can buy PS3 style cases, empty, brand new PS3 style. I bought some from Amazon. They claimed they were PS3, exactly PS3 style cases, but they tend to be just DVD cases, clear DVD cases. So I'm sending those back. I want to get replacements, but I want the exact same case because I don't want to have, you know, them all different things. This game's a hoot. These Lego games are, man, they're fun. And this one's nuts. This is like a friggin' violent game. All the little Lego guys down there hacking on, they get the elves and the trolls, and they're all, hacking at each other with swords and stuff. It's like mega Lego violence. So this looks like a fun one to play. That was one of the 13s I got. And then I picked up, this one was also one that came with a Fight Night found. I know some of these were all right. I don't know how they were when I got down to number 4. So that was one of the ones in the box. And what else was in there? Call of Duty Black Ops 3. They're all about the same. I played this on the Xbox. It's okay. Hey, Missing Link, welcome back. I think I played this one, but these were all pretty good. These Naughty Dog Uncharted. Yeah, I've looked on eBay Two Gun, and I still haven't found like exact empty cases for PS3. They're all kind of like just DVD cases. So Uncharted 3, it's a Naughty Dog. These are all pretty big hits on the PlayStation. And then he had Uncharted 2 in there. One of the greatest hits, Game of the Year, so it must have all the special features. Oh, and here's look at this. Here's a word from the past. Do you remember this? Anybody remember DivX? The DivX encoder program. DivX was the thing for like maybe 30 seconds. They tried to get that for to take over for like MP4, and it didn't really go anywhere. But that's funny that the video is in DivX format. I think DivX was pretty popular overseas. And then he had the original Uncharted Game of the Year edition, 2007. This is one of the games in the box. But the guy just threw the thing in. I mean, it was literally in an Amazon box. It amazes me how people ship stuff. So there's that. Grand Theft Auto 4. I got a note up here, I guess. I'm sure most of these games were used, but they're all in fairly decent shape. They all have the books. The case is a little beat, but not too bad. Grand Auto Theft. I've never played a Grand Theft Auto game. I've maybe picked one up for like 2 minutes, 2 seconds, and I never played one completely. But they're interesting. I'm sure a lot of these require to be online and whatnot. So I'm not sure if this is a one-player game, or does you have to be on the internet? 2 to 16. I'm sure some of these games, once they shut down the PS3 servers, they won't play anymore. So that's why I try to avoid getting like internet-only games on a PS3 or PS4. They don't have to be on a PS3. They got more on a PS4 because they're going to shut the servers down. I was amazed when I got the PS3 and I put it online that I could still get into the PlayStation Store and you can still download stuff for the PS3, but I think that's going to be going away pretty quick. But yeah, I put it online. It's still updated and everything. So PS3 is a great deal right now. There's so many good games that they can get for like a dirt for nothing, and they're really decent games. I remember this was big on the PS1 and PS2 Twisted Metal. I think this is the first time it came to like the PS3 system. It's a fun game if I remember correctly. All sorts of trucks and stuff you can play. This was one of those, only on PlayStation exclusives that for a long time the Xbox just never had any exclusives. They still really don't have a lot, but they have fun games. I know Perry said that he was trying to get this one. So, yeah, actually, these games are really top shelf games. I was surprised because usually when you buy like a system for $80, even though the system was grody junk, dirty, they usually give you crappy games like EA or NBA 2K or something like that, or MLB The Show 12 or Madden 12. There's a million of those. You go to GameStop and you can find a million of the old Madden titles, Madden 12, Madden 13. But some of those are fun too, because some of the new sports titles kind of blow. So it's fun playing. Like I note up on the Sega on the Xbox, they had what was I downloaded? NHL 94 for the Sega Genesis. That was a great game. I still play that. Like every time I turn on my Xbox, I'll go right to NHL. Uh, was NHL 94? Because I remember that was on the PS1, I think. EA, but it's fun. Let's see what else was in there. I got other stuff too. I remember I played this back in the day, Little Big Planet. This is probably the nastiest case. It looks like somebody took a dump on it, burned it. Looked like somebody was putting out their blunt. Somebody probably had like a joint right here, and it burned it. But the disc itself is in pretty good shape. But that's why I want to try to pick up some cases. So maybe another Call of Duty, or Mech Warrior 3. I don't remember if this was a good one or not. But at least with these, they have the single player missions, so you can still play it. Yeah, Two Gun. I think NHL '94 is actually on the Sega Genesis mini system they just put out. You can buy it up on Amazon. It's like $100, and it looks kind of like an old Sega Genesis with paddles, but it's got like 60 games in it. And I think NHL '94 is one of the games. Had some good games on it, but I don't have too many of those, uh, flashback systems. I looked at them, and some of them are pretty nice. I wish I kind of picked some of them up, but I don't have that. The latest thing I picked up for a console besides the PS3 is I ordered one of those Evercade. Evercade is a company that has like handhelds and like a little system with retro gaming cartridges. So a lot of old time games from the 90s and 2000s and 80s. Um, all different things, Coleco, Atari and television, Magnavox. They have little cartridges and you put them in the system. You can either play on your TV or they have a handheld. And I have one of their handhelds I'll have to, bring on one night and show. But it's very rudimentary. And they just came out with a brand new version of that. And I pre-ordered it like a long time ago, right? And it was coming out in white and black. And the black was a limited edition version of it. So I ordered that, and I ordered that pretty early. And all the black Evercade systems were on a boat coming in from China, and they got stolen, all gone. So now they have to go back to the factory and retool and make all these replacement black ones. So someday, even though you can go up on Amazon right now and pick up a white one, someday I may get the one I paid for. That's somebody is enjoying somewhere, but was stolen. So nobody has any of those. So that's about the, but that's an interesting little system too. Let's see. And then they said this one here was Just Cause 2. Ooh, these are pretty good games, single player games. Another one that they were sent in the last one, I think he sent. So 13, I think 11 games. There's a Plants vs. Zombies game. Garden Warfare. That's probably like a telephone game or something. Well, if you started gaming again, you would have time to watch all the movies? I mean, if you stopped. I'm not sure I understand. I need to watch more movies. I don't watch enough movies because I'm too much time either gaming or doing something else. Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't. Okay, that makes more sense. Lots of sleep. Yeah, well, who gets any sleep? So that's all the games I got with the PS3 system, which I have to find a place for and get it up online. So that's not bad. For $80, I thought that was a pretty good deal. Hopefully hopefully the PS3 system lasts, but I think I'm gonna upgrade it. I think I'm gonna wait and see if it lasts, and I'm gonna pick up an SSD and see if I can kind of bring up the spec there a little bit, make it a little bit more future proof, because you're less likely to have the thing go belly up if you don't have a hard drive in it. So, and once again, the link is in the thing if anybody wants to jump on and shoot the crap. I'll be here for a while. So yeah, so I picked up Terminator 4 or Terminator Resistance. That will be streaming. Probably the first one I stream when I get the streaming stuff set up. And Dead Island, Definitive. Let's see. What do I have on PS5? I'm trying to think if I bought any PS5 games. Honestly, I mean, I bought games digitally. I think I bought the new Mech War, the new Call of Duty, not Vanguard, but the one that just came out. I have that on the. I think I have that on the Xbox. I do. I have that on the Xbox Series X. I'm trying to think if I bought any PlayStation 5 games. I've gotten some updates to some of the games I have, but to be honest with you, I don't think I've bought one. You know, I don't know. There are supposed to be a lot of good games out there for the PS5, but I, I think they're all $69, $79 now, and I'm less likely to take a chance on an indie game, even if they say it's the best game in the world. If the thing costs $69, so I haven't bought too many PS5 games. I think the prices are dropping. If you go up on Amazon now, there's a lot of them at like $20 or whatnot. But probably eventually I'll pick up some of the PS5s. I'm always a generation behind. I'm buying PS5, PS4 games PS4, PS3 games when PS5 is out. So when Sony puts out the PS6, uh, yeah, I haven't played them all, but I'll probably stick them all and make sure that the ones that they work. But they look okay from the back of them. I looked at the back of them; they look like they're all right. These I bought. Evil Dead I bought at Amazon. I think it was just like $19. Of course, as I said, Soul Calibur 6. And you guys got accounts on Scarpad up on Xbox, PlayStation. Just friend me and we'll have to play. And I don't have that many Xbox Series X games, to be honest with you. Because I have Game Pass. With the Xbox, you don't buy a lot of games because either you play them and then you decide, well, I can just wait until it comes out on physical media and pick it up for $20. I have an Xbox Series X and I have an Xbox Series S. So on the S, no disk drive. I can't play anything on that, physical. But I have a lot of digital games too. So for Gamer Pass, I do a lot of stuff with Gamer Pass. So don't have a lot of Xbox Series X on disc. This is one of my favorite games. This was a Atari Jaguar game. And if you have the opportunity to play Tempest 4000 on the Atari Jaguar, this was a Tempest 2000. And this is like an updated Jeff Minter, who did Llama software. I think he was responsible for Winamp. If If you guys remember Winamp, everybody used Winamp. You know, the llama will kick your ass, or whatever the thing was. Well, Jeff Lama from LlamaViz, who did Winamp, did this game. Jeff Minter was his name. And he did Tempest 2000. This is an update, Tempest 4000 for the Xbox One. It's a great game. Very good updated version of Tempest. So I never upgraded up to PS2. Well, PS2 is a damn fine system. And they got the Call of Duty Cold War. This is one of the better Call of Duties. This wasn't bad. Some of the stuff is in shrink. I haven't opened it. I picked up NHL 22 fairly cheap. Still in its wrapping. Hey, this guy looks like Steph. Doesn't this look a little bit like Steph? Magic Mike. FIFA 22. I haven't played that yet. I picked this up the other day at a used game store for $9. I only bought the rare replay because, well, it does have good games on it. But I only bought it because if you have this, you can download for free GoldenEye on the Xbox. So I played a little bit of GoldenEye. It's okay on the Xbox. The problem is the Xbox doesn't have multiplayer, but it has better controls. The Switch has the multiplayer, but the controls blow on the Switch. I can't play on the Switch unless I play it with a controller. Yeah, it doesn't look like a clean shaven Steph. Maybe he's a soccer player. He wouldn't tell us. I guess he's not working right now, but he wouldn't tell us what he did before. Maybe. But I don't think so. So what does it have on it? Cameo elements of power. I was never a big role playing game. Certain role playing games I like, but not really fantasy ones. Killer Instinct Gold is on that. That's pretty good. I got the Killer Instinct cabinet in the other room. Perfect Dark, Perfect Dark Zero. Those are good games. RC Pro Am, Saber Wolf, Snake Rattle and Roll, Underworlds, the Viva Pinata. That was a Sega game, I think. So some Rare. But you know what they don't have on here? Doesn't Rare do like Earthworm Jim? Or am I thinking of the wrong company? I think I'm probably thinking of the wrong company. And then the old Titanfall 2. I'm kind of a sucker for mech games. I remember on the Xbox, the original Xbox, Mech Warrior. Mech Warrior I loved Mech Warrior. I don't know if anybody remembers, but on the original Xbox, they sold like a $300 accessory that was the inside of the cockpit for Mech Warrior, and you plugged it in. It was all mapped out to simulate the controls, and you kind of felt like you were walking at the pedals. Never bought that. I always wanted it. Titanfall 2, which is a decent game. And I never played this by BioWare, Anthem, but I think I only paid like $6. It looks kind of like a clone of Halo, but what game it really isn't. So I haven't played that yet. So check that out. Titanfall's awesome. It really is. I enjoy. How you doing, Aggressively? Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I like Titan. I like Titanfall 1 and 2. I had to pick up 1 on disc. I haven't found that yet. So that's my physical media collection for games. As I said, I have most of the stuff I have digitally. I don't have a lot of stuff on disc, although some. But I still think discs are a better buy because now even with PS1 games and PS1, PS4, PS3, you go to a store now, you get these for dirt, for nothing, or you get them on Amazon or buy them used. I mean, you go up in the store right now, this game in the store is still $40 on the Sony store. So you can extol the virtues of digital games. I love them because they're easy and it allows me to install them on both my disc and discless console. But they'll, they never go down in price. They know they got you over a barrel and they usually stick with that price. So I hope, and indications are they're not ready to give up on physical disc now. I mean, a lot of these games now, this is probably This is probably just the unlock key that says, "Okay, download the entire game from the internet." So people think they're getting something when they buy these, they're probably getting anything because there's probably no game on here. There's an unlock key. But I think it's still kinda cool to have the box and the packaging and sticking this up on the wall and having something to look at as opposed to having nothing to look at. So, well, that's it for games. I'll have to once I get the digital going, once I get the, capture card in and it's working, I'll maybe do another stream and show off the games I got digitally on both systems. Because 'Cause I've been, the Xbox, I have well, not a lot. Because as I said, I've gone back. I was a beta tester for Xbox Live. When Xbox Live went on, um, they were taking, they take your name and said, "Okay, we'll get back to you and what wanna be a beta tester," and then they sent you a kit once you were a beta tester with all the hookups for hooking up to the internet. Back then it was all Ethernet, wasn't wireless, so you'd have to run a cable from your router down to the back of the, box and then set the whole thing up, connect online, and get authorized. But man, even that was great. I mean, I even love going back to the Dreamcast. That was dial-up back then. I think that was a dial-up connection, if I remember correctly. And you'd have to dial. It was really, really, antiquated, but it worked great. Worked great. I think a Dreamcast had like a 2400 mode baud and a rate modem in it or something like that. But yeah, the Xbox was fun. So I beta tested that. So I got a lot of games going back to the very first Xbox, which is still one of my favorite consoles. That thing could do everything. I mean, even when it's in a lot of ways like the PS3, because even when um there he is, Mark, how he's going? I'm definitely BSing, filling some time, talking about video games, showing off some video games and talking about old video game systems. Even back in the day, the uh, the Xbox was. I mean, when its day was done, the people were using them for like servers for like movie for Plex. That was one of the very early. Plex was before Plex was Plex. It was Xbox Media Center. The people who developed the Xbox Media Center was basically Plex for the Xbox in a lot more rudimentary way. Went on and broke off and became Plex. But I was using the Xbox for that and for also for like streaming music and whatnot because I could do that. The PS3 was a lot like that. When I just got the PS3 this week, I noticed how much that system had the old PSP type menu and noticed how much they were really pinning their hopes on the PS3 being a multimedia thing because immediately it comes up and had like Netflix and Hulu and some of the early streamers were on um, right on the dashboard. You didn't have to download anything. And immediately, when you went into music and when you went into video on the PS3 dashboard, it immediately picked up my Plex server because my Plex server also runs in a protocol called DLNA, which means it was a protocol not really used too much anymore, but DLNA devices or things like Blu-ray players, DVD players, anything that was hooked up to your network would read from the network, would read the Plex server. It wouldn't have the same interface, but all the movies would automatically go ahead and just list out and show you all your stuff on your server. The moment I plugged in my PS3 and I signed into my network, immediately all my Plex movies and all my Plex music were right in the PS3 menu. I didn't have to do anything. So, and I played a lot of the stuff. I played perfectly fine, except I won't play 4K stuff, but it plays the 1080p Blu-ray stuff. No problem. DVD, no problem. So the PS3 one was ahead of its time. It even ripped CDs. You could even rip. Of course, I only had like 120 gigabytes in it, so how much you're going to get on there. But you stick a disc in, it would rip it, and it would pull the information for the CD off the internet and you have it on there and you play everything right through your machine. The PS3, man, I tell you, and even the PS4 in general was damn. fine. And I always remember when I had the PSP Vita and the PS Vita, 2 systems that Sony really bollocksed the, marketing for, because those things were awesome. They were way ahead of their time and better than anything out there. And they could hook up, even the PSP could hook up to the PS3 and stream your game right on the handheld perfectly. And they did the same thing with the PS4 and the PS Vita. And, those systems are phenomenal. And you'd be playing a game, they say a lot like the sharing now, it's like the Xbox, you go on and you can do everything with Xbox, you can do right on your computer or your tablet, and it runs great. But even back then, on the PSP, the thing ran like it was a second screen for it, which it really was. That's all it was doing. PSP wasn't doing anything; it was just like acting as a second screen. But if your wife sitting there or whatever, and watching something on the TV, and you didn't want to, fight over the TV, you could sit down there with your PSP and play your PlayStation games, and they'd be fantastic. So you know, I loved them. PS2 is my go-to. Well, you're down in Australia, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess you guys have I don't know how you are with the retro systems or what systems out down there now. I'm sure all the same systems out, but you may have more better access to older games than we have. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was the first system with a Blu-ray drive. For a lot of people, a PS3 was their first Blu-ray player. Same way now with the as PS5 is probably going to be their first 4K player. You know, I used it. I used it when I was as a Blu-ray player a lot. Even now, I'm using I have the PS4 set up in the kitchen here because that's where I'm hoping to do streaming, and I use that as a Blu-ray player. It works great, no problems. Yeah, if you haven't got it yet, I would wait. I got an invitation to buy one. I think back in the end of the year sometime, like December. I haven't had it that long. If you could wait, I would wait because usually every version of the PS system they the later versions, with few exceptions, were usually always better, thinner, ran quieter, didn't blow up, didn't give you the blue line of death like the Xbox 360 did. I mean, to me, I don't think they've hit their stride in putting out games for the system yet. But $79 games. I was in a GameStop or something, and I saw like that Midnight Suns game is like $69. The new Harry Potter one coming out was going to be 69. Everything's $69. Some were $79. There was one that was coming out that was going to be $79. To me, it's not that I can't afford to buy a game that expensive. I choose not to because just so many of the games now come out unfinished that I'm not going to take a chance on $80. I'll just wait, and it usually drops at least on physical within a couple months. Yeah, I looked the other day. Every PSP, I was going to get a PSP or a PS Vita just to screw around with and use as a remote. I still wouldn't mind getting one, but they're awful expensive. There's a GameStop, not GameStop, a mom and pop game shop. The prices they're asking for PSP and even cartridges, like all the cartridges, are like $25 each. It's crazy. And then trying to find one that's in good condition, they all usually beat the crap. If anything, I try to get a new one or a relatively new one from Japan. I don't know, Mark. Do they still have PSPs down there and PS Vitas in Australia? Are they still readily available, or no? Maybe I'll have you get me one. But yeah, yeah. Heck, I'm finding the PS3 games are starting to get down there too. A PS3 game is getting out between $6 and $10 now, unless it's something that's really in demand that blew up and everybody's looking for like that Godfather game. Everybody's looking for the God. No one wanted to play that Godfather game when it was out, but now it's all the rage and it's getting like $70 for if you buy it. Yeah, that's funny too. Well, yeah, I guess PSP was probably a little bit more of a seller than the Vita. The Vita was a decent system, though. I think the thing that really held back the Vita was the interface. The interface was kind of crappy. I didn't like the interface at all. I prefer that cross-hatched PSP over the Vita, and them dumping the. I thought the movies were damn cool. You talked to Dylan, he had the same thing. I mean, that was back in the day, way before we had. That was about the same time we started getting iPod videos, where you could have a little. Yeah, everybody had a little. I had an iPod video, 30 gigabyte, whatever. No, 30 megabyte. I think it was, not gigabyte. It was 30 megabyte or something. iPod video where you could have. I would encode my video down to little postage stamp size because it didn't need to be that big for the screen. And I could hold a whole season of TV shows off DVD onto my iPod video. Uh, I think I still have an iPod video. I have an iPod 30 gigabyte video. I should bring that up and put some shit on it. Probably will. I'll do that the next time. But on a PSP, it had a big color screen and it looked phenomenal. And the original ones, I think the original ones in both were OLED, or at least the PS Vita was. And the PS Vita, when it was an OLED, looked phenomenal. Really good. Now, I guess is a pretty good. Hey, Zach Hack, thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up. I think now there's a pretty good market of home brewers out there brewing their own PSP and PS Vita games. So the only thing that killed those systems was the fact that Sony with their proprietary memory bullshit, where I know now you can buy like an MS. I think you can buy a adapter to put a regular SD card in, but back then they had that stupid Sony memory stick that they want $160 for 64 gig, and even that was ridiculous back in the day. So that's the only thing I think that held that system back. Well, you can get a ton of Xbox 360 games that are playable on the Xbox One and Xbox S and X on the store. I have a ton I bought on sale, and they run pretty good on the emulation on the biggest system. The only downside with buying Xbox 360 is you got to go online and look for those serial numbers that were good, because they put out some good ones later that didn't have the flaw, the red ring of death, the blue ring of death, whoever it was, the ring of death that all the other ones had. So trouble buying one is you're not sure you're going to get one that's going to go belly up. I don't think they're that hard to fix now, but it's kind of sad that the whole platform was cursed from like day one with bad hardware, and that instead of sucking it up and admitting they put out bad hardware, they strung people along for years replacing. I know one guy, a buddy of mine back in the day, had, I think he had something like 12 Xbox 360s. Microsoft actually sent him 12 before they just said, fuck it, you're not gonna send anymore. But I think he had 12 of them, and they all broke, every single one of them. It really sucked. I think the biggest thing the Sony had was, I know the first, I think the PS2 or PS3, I think it ran, didn't it like melt? It ran too hot. And the solder joints would melt, and then they'd flick it, have some issues. You know, that stuff always happens. Yeah. Yes, sir. That's right. I think the only retro system I have right now is I still got my Atari Lynx, one of the versions of the Lynx, and I got maybe about 12 or 13 cartridges for it. I had some fun games on the Lynx. Those were the days. That was back during the Game Boy Color. No, Game Boy Black and White. Actually, that's why the Lynx was big, because they didn't have color on the Game Boy, but the Game Boy still wiped its butt with the Lynx because everybody wanted the Game Boy. Hmm. So I don't know, some guys on the internet, man, they have like whole museums of retro stuff. tons of the stuff. I just don't have I have the room. I'd like to have more of them hooked up at one time, but I had to like swap out stuff or I'll use a PS3 or something. It's just it's not enough room for all that stuff. Looks like we got 4 people in here. Actually, more people like that would come in than I thought would come in. I hope somebody would jump in here because I hate talking to myself. Even though I'm talking to you guys, anyways, still talking to myself. But yeah, so hopefully the streaming stuff will be in. I think Wednesday, and I get all hooked up, and I get about 12 megabit upload, so I think it would be okay for streaming. I'm not gonna be streaming 4K stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna be streaming old games at 1080p or 720p or something like that, and hopefully I should be able to do that with the MacBook Pro. I think so. Yeah, I remember doing that a lot. You get to a certain point in the game, you had to go to work or something like that, and you would turn the system off because you didn't have a memory card or your memory card was full, or you just were too lazy to fucking write to the memory card, and then you come back at midnight and you turn your TV on and start playing where it left off. PS1 and PS2 could do that, but I think anything further than that would probably, as Two Gun says, I think it would melt, especially if you didn't have the room air conditioned. But I remember doing that all the time. And then you come home and find out the thing's turned off. You had a power failure or something, and your 12 hours worth of playing was gone. It's late in my neck of the woods. My neck of the woods says it's midnight. Not that late. It's up the other day till 3 a.m. or 3:30 usually. I don't know. I saw Jigs went live. I was gonna almost jump on Jigs stream. I should have actually. I remember some of those old streams that Perry used to do. At I was watching one the other day. I posted something from it. Those were fun. Used to jump on. They didn't get going till like 1 in the morning. And Mark was always on on his late night streams, as was a lot of you other guys. And that was fun, just jumping on and shooting the shit at 2 in the morning. Yeah, or the old standby. Your controller got knocked out because all the old systems are connected with wire. So you'd have the controller on the couch, something like that. Somebody would come by, you know, trip on the cord, either take the thing would come out or would take the whole system crashing on the floor. Especially some of those old systems, they needed some room to breathe. Especially the cartridge ones. I miss cartridges. I was a big proponent for cartridges. I cried when they went to CDs and DVDs because I like the cartridges. Much more reliable and heavier duty too. I mean, I was in the video game. Well, I was manager of a video store in a supermarket for about 10 years before they went belly up. Or no, they pulled the plug actually. And we rented games, and we had a much better time with when there were cartridges. The N64, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, and then when they went to the PlayStation, then oh my god, no one treats those video games well when you get them home and you're renting them. You come back, they look like they took them to war and they were all scratched, and so cartridges were a much better item than the discs. 1:03 p.m. to well, I think you're working at home if I remember correctly. I don't think you're actually working out somewhere, but I may be mistaken. That looked completely different than what? The original one? The original NES? Oh yeah, cartridges were different too, whole different shape. But I think the SNES and the Genesis cartridges, those are probably I think the most iconic. But so is the original Nintendo. That whole you could pack a lot. Remember those games that came with like batteries in them? I forget what game it was. Was it Mario or one of the Zelda games that had a battery built in so you could save the progress? It was a role playing game right to the cartridge, and that cartridge was thick. It's almost like it wouldn't even fit in the thing. Yeah, I never had an N64 either. I think maybe the thing is I had so many. I think I probably had like almost everything that came out, but ended up selling it. It was always sell it so you didn't work, you had a bad job. So you'd always sell your previous system to buy the next system. And there was always a next system. And then you regret doing that, of course, later on. And I remember I don't think I ever had a regular Nintendo though, because it was almost like a DC and Marvel thing. I was a DC guy more than I was a Marvel guy. I was a Sega guy more than I was a Nintendo guy because and it's almost the same reason because of the Switch. Switch kind of turned around a little bit, but there's always the kiddie games or the Japanese role playing games, which I wasn't big in. I like the sports games, I like the adventure games, like things like the platformers, love platformers. Uh, they had stuff like strategy games. Fucking Sega had things like Populous, things that were on the computer, and Nintendo had Luigi and mushrooms and rescuing princesses and stuff. So not that much. I was always a Sega guy, so I never really had a Nintendo till later on. I think I had a Super Nintendo for a short time. That was a better system. Well, better from the turn point. There was more diverse games, I think, but there was pretty diverse games in the original one too. So I had Sega. I had the Sega Master System, the Sega Genesis. I had a Sega Nomad. That was that handheld. That was one of the better handhelds. That was once again the Sega Nomad. There was the Game Gear and then the Nomad. I had the Game Gear. And that was okay. But the Sega Nomad was a hell of a system. I mean, being able to take your Genesis cartridge out of your Genesis and plugging it into the handheld and playing that same cartridge anywhere. Once again, the battery life sucked on the thing because it was running a cartridge at on a color screen. So I think you never got more than an hour or two out of it before you had to plug in and buy new batteries. Um, but that was a great system. That was like you got that. I said, "Oh, I could sit in the fucking couch at my parents' house, and I could be playing Madden on this thing." You know, that was amazing. So Sega Nomad had that. Never had. I had the 32X. That was a kind of a bust. They had a couple. They always do this thing, and Atari did the same thing when they put out the Jaguar 32X. They'd get the best fucking game. It would be graphically phenomenal. It would be a great playing game. I forget what it was in the case of the 32X. And you'd have to have the fucking add-on. You'd have to have it. You'd have to have it. Sega CD. I could play that airplane game. I have to have it. But then they put out one fucking AAA game, and the rest would be dog shit. And you'd be sitting there looking at you thinking, what the fuck did I ever buy this thing for? They got no good games. Yeah, Sega Nomad. Yeah, Sega Nomad. It wasn't a big hit. It didn't stay out long, but look it up because I love the Sega Nomad. Just the fact that I could play your standard Sega Genesis cartridges, which you already had. It was great. Great system. So I had that Sega Nomad, Sega Genesis. I had a Dreamcast. Never had a Saturn. Wanted a Saturn. At the time, I couldn't afford the Saturn, so I missed that. I never had one of those Famicoms, which were like the Super Nintendos. Did have a Panasonic 3DO, which was a CD based system, a 3DO. Had some good games. Once again, wasn't a big hit. I was like the patron saint of systems that no one would fucking buy. Love the Atari Lynx. Love the Atari Jaguar. Uh, and no one ever bought the fucking systems, but had good games. Love the Sega Nomad. No one bought that. Never had an Intellivision. My friend had an Intellivision. We would go over to his house, and the Intellivision had some fucking awesome, almost like more computer like games, but they had things like adaptions of like Breakout and Asteroids, and of course these weren't close to being the arcade versions, but they're pretty close enough. Hey Evan, how's it going? We're talking video games here. How's it going? Station. Um, so I had 3DO, and then from there, I think we kind of more or less jumped right into the Xbox. I think if there's anything else I'm missing in between there. But I got the original Xbox, was a beta test of Xbox Live, and then from there I got the 360. Had an Xbox One, an Xbox One S, which Dylan is now using. Um, and then I had the S and the X. And I'm trying to think the Sony, what I had. I had a PS1. I think I've had everything Sony. PS2, the first fat version of it. PS3, I had the big one, which was that thing was like a piano. I don't know what Sega it was. It was Sony and a big ass system. Like the PS5 now is obnoxiously huge, and the original PS3 was as well. I had the PS3 original, had the PS3. Okay, let's go back. Had the PSP original. Then I bought then a PSP, not PSP, PlayStation One original with the toilet seat. Then had the slim down version of it with the toilet seat. Then they had that system that had the screen on it, so you could take your PlayStation and run and play on the screen like they do with some of the systems now. That was good. Had the original big PS2. Don't think I ever had the other version of the PS2. PS3, the big one, the slim one, which is the one I got now, and the other goofy one they had with the sliding door. Anybody remember that one? Where they had, and then you didn't suck your disc in; you just put it in it like a CD player. So I had that one too. That PS3, PS4. I had the one I got now, the PS4. Um, this is the PS4 Slim. I never had a PS4 original. Had a PS4 Slim, and I had the PS4 Pro. I should have kept that Pro. I was almost going to rebuy the Pro, but there was a lot of Pro only games, enhanced games. Um, hey TK, long time no here. How you doing? If you want to jump on, there's a link in there. I haven't seen you in a dog's age, my friend. Hope you've been playing some games. So the PS4 Pro, I didn't think it had the extra, like the PS4 had that 2 layer, and the PS4 Pro is the 3 thick thing. Because it was a little thicker, it was more powerful. It wasn't really a lot powerful. So I never could see rebuying one. So that's why when I bought a new one, I just bought a regular PS4 Slim. Got lost. I haven't seen you streaming much either. I haven't been watching. I have to get back. So hopefully by Wednesday, I should start doing some tests and see if I can stream some gaming. So see what happens with that. So that pretty much catches me up to where we are now. So I did have a PS4, no, a PS5. I always wanted a PS4 VR. I went ahead and got the Oculus, which I don't use a lot, but I enjoy it. It's fun. And it does have It does have the ability of playing by itself, which I think is something important. But so I never had the PS4 PSVR for the original PS4. So I did order the PSVR 2, but I just canceled it a little while ago. Just for the reason where I think haven't seen enough games where there are a few games I'm interested in, but some of them are redo games from the Oculus, and the thing is coming out at $600, not including like a game or something. And I want to see a commitment. Because of what they did with the PS Vita and stuff, I'm not going to commit to something that much. I think from them again till I think I'll wait until they do a bundle and they pack it with a game and they drop the price, and then maybe I'll pick it up. You know, but so I did cancel that. So right now, I think I'm just gonna probably sit back, try to get some games, get some decent, get a decent collection going for cheap. Buy a lot of used stuff. I'm hoping to hit up some tag sales and flea markets this summer. Last year, I was seeing a ton of PS3 games, but I wasn't buying them. So now there'll be none, obviously. Yeah, I went back and forth before I canceled the order, but I got some other stuff to come in that's gonna be kind of pricey. So I I'll probably get one eventually. There's too many games out there I want to play. Well, they say that that's not true. That was a leak story, and they made the guy retract it. But excuse me, I wouldn't be surprised that because of the economy and the orders weren't there. I mean, I'm not surprised people that can't just drop $600 on an accessory for a system that most people still can't get. The only reason the little bird in my hand made me pre-order it was, shit. This is like the PS5. You won't be able to get it. Everybody will go nuts and they'll want it because of one game, and I can throw up on eBay for $1,200 and QVC that bitch. Um, but I'm not a dick. I think people who do that are dicks, especially if they buy more than one, where they don't let somebody get one. But then to turn around and stick on eBay for fucking $1,500 is kind of dickish. But besides that, I'm just gonna wait on that. And Evan, I had a Steam Deck. I had a Steam Deck. I had um, the 512 one, the deluxe one, and that one's a nice one to get because not only does it have the more memory, but it has a better layer of reflective glass on the screen. So I think the screen on the low price Steam Deck is okay. It's a little bit better on. I think it warrants the extra money to get the better screen. But the original was good, and I ended up selling it for almost pretty much what I paid for it. I wasn't by the time I had gotten it. Um, by the time I had gotten it, they caught up to production and you can get one pretty readily. So I just sold it for what I thought was, after having it for a couple months, what I thought it was worth, and it was a good system. I was amazed and astounded by the stuff that you could get to run. Well, not even get to run, it would just run. Games that would just run. But there was a lot of stuff on it that you need to be a tweaker, somebody that wants to sit down and tweak settings to get the best performance you could squeeze out of it and the extra battery life you could squeeze out of it by manipulating the frames per second, the clock speed, and the yada, 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 yada. And that's not me. I'm not that guy. I don't want to sit down before I play a game and have to tweak the game for 15 hours. I'm not saying you have to do this. Most of the games run acceptably well just by, installing them. But you probably get the most out of the system if you're a tweaker, somebody who likes to get into the nuts and bolts, maybe put Windows on it, take off Linux and do this and that. And I just wasn't going to do all that. So I thought, why not sell this thing to somebody who's going to utilize it better than I am? But I like the system. It was a decent system. The only thing that sucked about was the battery life. The battery life on the Steam Deck is awful, and pretty much any game you run is going to get you like probably 2 hours to under 2 hours of gameplay. And if you're running something that's really, something that is designed to run on it, or something that just has high specs, it's gonna cook that battery so quick that you always need your cord around. And if you're gonna do that, then why not just play it on your laptop or your desktop? It's not a truly portable system if you can't take it on an airplane on a 4-hour flight and play with it when you're there. It's not portable. It's you got to be attached to a plug. So, and I 100% agree with you. That's the same way I felt by all these people, and I know I people buy Fire Sticks and stuff all over the place, and they're watching stuff on sites, but it goes up and down so much that when I come home and I want to watch something, I want to spend an hour downloading a patch to watch something. So that's just not me. Um, but it's a decent system. It's just they need to put out one that has better battery life. But surprised me, it was better than I thought it was going to be, especially if you're into PC gaming. Pretty good. Um, but about where I am with the games, I mean, that's about the last thing I had. And I always say, well, I'm not going to sell. Well, it's just stuff I'm not going to sell because, quite frankly, I'm not going to get anything for it. No one's going to buy. Um, they're not going to probably give me money for the stuff unless I have a real decent game somebody wants. Try to build up a little of a collection maybe again. I'm sure they will over time. Yeah, I think when they come out with the next revision of it, I'm not sure what you can really do. I mean, because it has a pretty good sized battery in it. The unit is a fairly chunky unit. I mean, it's not. It's kind of like you're holding a switch at like that's maybe 1.5 times the size of the switch, even the larger OLED one. So I'm not sure what you can do. It just takes a lot of power to run PC games. It just does. And really I think the better thing is just oh yeah, I played Dead by Daylight. It's an okay game. I played it on the Xbox. I think I have it for the Xbox. I think I have a third one, but I played the original one. Um, the Switch I think is good enough for most people. For most people they just want to get a cartridge and download a game and play it. And I've been happy with my Switch. I mean, it's a decent system. I have the OLED one. I don't play it a lot, but I play it enough. The games I think are too expensive. Once again, like everything else. I mean, they're all $60. I mean, when it first started coming out, because I have a Switch Lite. I have the light and I have the larger OLED one. I like the lighter one probably better because it is more like a PSP size. But when you start getting small like that, sometimes it's hard to read the games. Um, but the Switch I think was good because they put out more than the kid games on it. They truly have adapted and have fighting games and strategy games and all bunch of different games. But they're $59 too, so I don't buy a lot of games for them until it has been out for a while. But what I'm using my Switch for is I have the At Games Micro pinball machine, and that pinball machine has an input. I have the big one downstairs, which has an actual home theater. I mean, home gaming PC because you have to have like a 3050 to run some of those pinball games with the animation fluidly. Because when you're putting the gaming PC onto the physical pinball table, which is downstairs what I have, you're using flippers and plungers, real flippers and plungers, so you can't have lag. So you can probably play these games with a controller on a TV screen. Try putting them on an actual machine where you're trying to emulate the buttons, and then you have to have a powerful PC. So on the mini version of that, which I have up in the upstairs arcade area, I'm using my Switch because the Switch has Pinball FX3, and now they're gonna have this new one, Pinball FX, and you can plug it in, and you can rotate the screen on the Switch, and it will allows you to play on the right orientation on the pinball machine. And even though you can't map, at least presently, it's not easy to map the buttons so you can use the buttons on the pinball machine. You still have to use a controller. It still is fun when you're playing it on a see what the guys are saying on it. We're streaming gameplay live. Yeah, I'm open. Small steps. We'll see. Switch is good. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm happy with mine. I try to get the games on sale. It's got good battery life too. Another thing too, it lasts a while. Well, that's Nintendo, man. They've always appealed to all ages. I mean, they put out games that young kids can play and that they love. I mean, that's why I think Sony got better at that with like Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that as time went on. But a lot of the systems like Xbox, that's where Sony excelled. I mean, Nintendo excelled is having games that kids can play and adults can play. So it's still like that. Yeah, absolutely. Breath of the Wild was a phenomenal launch game. I mean, you could ask for a better game than Breath of the Wild for the Switch. And for a while there, the Switch people were buying them, and they were saying, "Well, the Switch is going to be weed out. Going to have." Because they had a couple of failures with Nintendo before that with the Wii, even though the Wii I thought was a decent system, and then they came out with the other one after that, the Wii U, which was okay, I guess, but they didn't sell well, and they were expensive. So everybody said, "Yeah, they're dead." They wrote the Switch off, but the Switch just caught on. Even though most people are probably using a Switch connected to a television, which is strange because I'm mostly I never use mine connected to television at all. I've always used it as a handheld. If I want to play something connected to the TV, I'll go play it on my Xbox, something like that, the PlayStation. I think I had it on the TV. I mean, it looks okay, um, but they aren't the highest resolution games either. So I enjoy the original. I forget the Wii where you could bowl with the controller. I forget the Wii U came after them. How was the Wii U different than the original Wii? I forget because I never bought that. I never bought it. A friend of mine had a Wii. I played it. It was fun, but it wasn't me. I think back in the day, if a system didn't have Call of Duty, and I think they did eventually get Call of Duty in the Wii, games sucked, but they had it. If Call of Duty was on the system, I didn't want to play it, and and then the Call of Duty game started sucking. So, oh, Evan, how you doing? Dylan, you guys had a Wii and a Wii U. Well, what was the difference between the Wii and the Wii U? The Wii, I know. I used to play that at my buddy's house. You had the little controllers. You'd have the strap so you don't, just like on the Oculus, so you don't throw the controller to the TV, which I never did, but he did it quite a bit in frustration. But how was the Wii U different? What was different about that than the Wii? Oh, that's right. They packaged it with a tablet, right? Like a 7-inch or a 6-inch tablet you gamed on. Yeah, that was so gimmicky though. I think that's why that didn't survive. Is yeah, it was pretty gimmicky. Yeah, I guess it was a way of trying to breathe the last life into the Wii they could. They had nothing else ready to go. So somebody probably said, "Let's stick a fucking tablet on there." Yeah, just give 'em a tablet. Have a tablet connected to the thing, and you can use it as a gamepad. Of course, they didn't figure out that everybody could do that with their iPad or their phone, but they thought they were doing something revolutionary to extend the life of the Wii, and they really wasn't because it didn't sell. And then it made everybody skeptical as hell to buy the next system because they say, "Oh, I don't know, Nintendo gonna pooch this one again or what?" But then the Switch all of a sudden just caught on big like wildfire, and everybody had them. So, and then I remember when they first came out, they sat on the shelves, no one wanted them, and then all of a sudden you couldn't get them. The Wii was just like the Wii. The Switch was just like the PS5 was mythical. Yeah, they got a lot, but they got a lot better, more varied games now. And I tell you, they've worked around. They get good developers because they work around the limitation of that system. But I think I've always found that it's always been the way with Nintendo. I think that's their claim to fame and why they still are around. Is they never, with the exception of maybe the original Nintendo that came out way back when, they never had the more powerful system. Never, never. The Game Boy was never more powerful than the competition. Uh, the SNES was never more powerful than what Sega was doing. Well, all those big systems that came out like 3DO and Jaguar 64. But they had the developers and they had the game people and they had good games. And that's where they succeeded where everybody else failed is because they knew as long as they had decent, good games, the system could be kind of lacking a little bit. It wouldn't be the best on the market, but it was the success. So for years and years and years, that's what they did. They put out systems that were a little underpowered, but hey, we got Rare and we got Zelda, we have Mario. We could put out the 15 Mario game, and they were all good games. We had Donkey Kong. We had all the exclusives. So even though the system may be a few years behind, and they were right, and, until maybe they got to the N64. And then I think the competition started getting better and better, Sony, Sega, and the rest. And they had the exclusives. And Microsoft Xbox came along. And then Nintendo got kind of it's a kiddie system again. But they always had underpowered systems. And they continue now with the Switch. It's underpowered. It's not on par with anything else out there. It's a decent handheld, but they made the best of it. And they made the best games they could, and they've succeeded. Absolutely. It's always about the content, man. You got the content, people will come. That's the same thing with Sony. I mean, that's what kept all the people around when they couldn't get a PS5, and PS4. It was they were still putting out games like Days Gone and stuff like that, and stuff that the Xbox up to like just recently before the Series X, I think you could say, they didn't have any exclusives. They had good games. They had some decent stuff. They had Halo, you know, but now they've kind of corrected ship a little bit. So and then I think Game Pass is what saved them. In this day and age where you got $60, $70 games, and now that you can log in there and buy a game that just came out on the shelf, and you can download it and play it as if you have Game Pass. You know, when you got that, who wants to pay $69 for one game? Because everybody always plays multiple games. I don't know too many people play one game. I don't play one game. Some people do though. Some guys will play one game and finish it and move on. But I've never been like that. I've rarely finished games. I usually get bored of them. But even if I finish a game, I'm playing two or three other games at the same time. That way you just don't get bored of them. You know. Yeah, yeah. They had the IPs. They developed them. They had them, and Microsoft had um, Halo. They've had Mech Warrior, although a lot of people didn't care about that. It was a decent system. It certainly wasn't a system seller. Halo was the only thing they had that really sold systems. Fuck, they had Cuphead. I mean, Cuphead's a good game. Hard. Forza. Forza's good. I think Forza's a system seller. Yeah, they had some, but just Sony had more, and generally they were just better games. Yeah, now it's hard. I mean, I don't think there's too much of a disparity. Right now it's kind of a flip of a switch. What system I'll buy the game for? First off, if it's on Xbox Game Pass for my Series X, that's probably the one I'm going to be using. That's buy, download it, then play it, and that's it. If it's not available, it's a game I want. If it's on PS5, PS4, or Xbox, I don't know. It depends. Maybe what game is cheaper. There's something to be said with the controller. I still think I like. I give the edge to PlayStation still with the controllers. I haven't played enough on the PS5 controller to really say, although I think it's okay. But the PS3 and the PS4 controller, I've always thought they were better. I don't have huge hands. I got medium-sized hands, and playing fighting games always seem to be better on the PlayStation, at least to me. But and I think maybe Xbox would be better for the first-person stuff. Yeah, well, that's the thing. When they came to me, when I beta tested the original Xbox Live, and I've been with it ever since. I think if you go back, I'm one of the original. I forget what my ID number is, but it's very low. And I always liked Xbox better because it's social. The PlayStation Network stuff never, to this day, um, is as good as what the Xbox Live was. Xbox Live is just from day one's been phenomenal. Where you could chat and do parties and stuff like that. It worked great. And PlayStation, not so much. They never had lobbies where you could get together with people before you went into the game. They never had the game matching was nowhere close. Um, you had to originally you didn't. I don't think originally you did not need on the original Xbox. You did not need Xbox. Well, you need Xbox Live because it was peer to peer. And then later on, you had Xbox Live for matchmaking and all that. And the matchmaking was always better than what was you got in the PS5 and how you signed on to games through the PS5, PS4. To this day, I think it's still better. The PlayStation Plus doesn't come close to what the Game Pass does. Um, so if it's something I want to play online, I tend to would probably give an edge to the Xbox. If it's gonna be a solo game like a God of War or a Dead Days Gone, even if that's on the Xbox, I'd probably get it on the PlayStation. But I guess it would come down to price too. Um, yeah, yeah. Especially the party stuff was always better, having more than like 5 or 6 people. And that's what most people, in my circles that were gamers had both systems. I didn't know too many people who only had one. Um, there was some. I mean, systems were expensive, but even if they didn't get them at launch, they usually got them later on. If I, back then, if I was given if I was giving a choice, I would have gotten an Xbox because I was always an Xbox guy. Yeah, it's still better. It's worlds better. The games are better, you know, and they can stay on there longer. Yeah, they still got really good exclusives. Not as many as they used to, but they get really good games. I mean, I can't think of anything lately that's been what God of War's been. I mean, it's amazing. It's astonishing that every generation of systems launched with like a phenomenal game, something that really has driven people to the system. Yeah, the at least for Christmas and stuff, I think that the prices in the Sony store is better than it ever has been. The Sony store generally always sucked for prices. They're always expensive. And now you have some really, really good deals. Granted, I mean, you had to buy them specifically when they went on sale, and they may have not been the newest games, but they not bad. I mean, on the store, like something like Gotham Knights, which I didn't buy. I was gonna buy that. It dropped like $35 on the store, which is about the same price as what the disc was going for. That didn't usually happen too much in the past because I know how successful a game it was. It was okay, I guess, fairly successful, but not world beating. Um, it's better now than it ever has been. To the point where I went out and I picked up picked up one of those Western Digital 5 terabyte drives for the PS5. What did I do? I have 3 drives in my PS5. I have the original. I think it came with, and that's another thing. Another rap on Sony. The Xbox has a terabyte now. Pretty much everything in the S and the X, they're both terabytes, I believe. Although maybe the X is a little bit less. The X may suffer, and it maybe has something to do with the way they deal with the games and the drives. But the PlayStation 5 is 825. And I think the Xbox Series X is 825. So I think both the X and the S require new generation hard drives, SSDs basically, for the newer games to work because of the speed. So you can't play 5 games or X games or XS games on old hard drives. You can only store them there, and you have to transfer them to the internal drive SSD to work. It isn't too bad because they don't take too long. You can go back and forth pretty quick. And it's the same way with the Xbox Series X. So I went ahead and I bought two 5 terabyte Western Digital, those heavy duty the black drives. I think they had them on sale for like $99 each. And I put one each on the 5 and I put it on the X. And both the systems you can only store new games on the internal SSD. Older games and media can go on extended hard drives. And the PS5 takes an extra SSD. They have a slot for one. So I have the 825 gigabyte SSD that it comes with. I put in I think I put in a 2 terabyte SSD in addition, and I bought a, the 5 gigabyte or 5 terabyte um, drive for the older games. So I got quite a bit of space on the PlayStation 5, and then the X, I have the 825 built in that you have to have for new games. Although new games on the PlayStation and the Xbox, you can send over to the other externals or the internal chips. On the X, they make you buy this little. I bought this stupid little memory card. The 1 terabyte memory card for the X was like, I don't know, $200 when I bought it. So I have that, and I bought 5 terabytes. So I got like 8 terabytes in both systems, and you really need it because most of these games for the 5 and the X are like 100 gigabytes now. It's a ridiculous size, and they don't. You can only put like 5 games on the internal drive before you have to start transferring things around. So it makes it harder. Yeah, but Spider-Man's a fun game. I played that. Yeah, it was peer to peer. Right. Yeah, Last of Us sold a lot of PlayStations. It still does. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely had all those. Yeah, I think Sony's also good at designing systems that look unique. Not always good unique, but unique. Yeah, I thought Fable and Fable 2 was coming out in the store. I think it is on the store. I think you can download them. Pretty sure. They don't have a lot. Forza. Now, Halo and Forza probably will be the two. Cuphead. Cuphead. Don't sleep on Cuphead. Yeah, but they're getting better. I think they're definitely getting better. Hey, all right, Two Gun. If I don't know if you're still here, you went. But hey, I appreciate you coming in. All you guys, as I said, I'm gonna try to get on more. I think later at night and do some live streaming here as I get geared up to do the streaming of the video stuff. Maybe later this week. So I may call on a few of you guys to jump in and let me know if the stuff is streaming okay. Because there's a lot of stuff you got to do. You got to make sure that the sound of the game mixes with the sound of the mics, and so I won't do anything official, but I'll probably be doing a lot of testing. Oh yeah, yeah. They've added $10 across the board on everything. Hey, how's it going? You still up? I thought you'd be out doing your gigolo in there, Mister Mister Missing Link is having his Magic Mike premiere early on new Magic Mike movies coming out. Stefan's movie on Thursday, so everybody go see it. I got a link in here, Steph. You should jump on. I don't know how much longer I'll be on, but I want to talk myself. And Evan, I think your brother. I asked your brother to jump in here. He must either be watching a movie or he's sleeping. He's probably watching a movie. Oh, everybody had a Game Boy Pocket in color. Oh, wow, you started your PSP. Well, the thing I love about the PSP too is the movies. I was so rad being able to have like widescreen movies on that great screen that you could carry around. It was a dumb thing. I mean, little mini discs, and it was cool. Little mini discs in white plastic, but it was a dumb format. But I loved them. I loved having that. Your own copy of the movie you could carry around. You should do a stream and show what PSP games you have. Yeah, well, it's the same way with the PlayStation 5. Same way. You're gonna only play it on the internal SSD. So if you have an external drive, you can use that to store, the older games. So usually what I do is if they download them to if it downloads them to your internal, you can just move them right over. It only takes a few minutes to do that. But yeah, but neither system has enough storage to uh, hold more than like 6 games the current size. Check it out. The game is always kind of fun. Yeah, I think that's a free game on the PlayStation Plus now. I downloaded it. I haven't played it yet, but it's played a little bit of it. Yeah, I think it's too early for him to be sleeping, so he's probably watching a movie, or he could be sleeping. You never know. I know he's not working tomorrow, so yeah. So I think I've said everything I had to say about video games. Just want to jump on here and show off some of the stuff I have. If you didn't catch that, if you came in late, catch the replay. Show off some decent stuff. Talk about some of the games. And I'm thinking, I think Wednesday I'm supposed to be getting some of the streaming stuff. So hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, I can get it set up, test out a little bit, and then maybe do a stream Wednesday or Thursday night and see how the stuff is streaming. See if it's doable from the location I want to do it at. Otherwise, I have to do some moving around. So, so I think I'll bag it for the night. Hey, thanks guys for coming in. Hope you all enjoyed the little chat talking about video games tonight. I love talking about fucking retro systems and old shit that I had. I wish I had the stuff. We all do. I mean, we all had like every system, and now we don't have them. Or we only have certain ones. And man, I would love to have some of the shit back I had when I was younger. But c'est la vie. What can you do? All right, guys, we'll catch you later. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. All you guys in the chat. Really had a good time talking. We'll do another one of these. Hope to do more as the week progress. Get on, do a little bullshitting, and talk about movies and games. We'll catch you later, guys. Have a good night. Later.